and they're loyal to each other, then you're going to be hard to beat most times.
Yeah. You're considered a leader of your football club. What does that mean to you?
Huge responsibility. I understand, number one, I understand the importance of being a leader. It's something that I don't take lightly, and a badge that I sort of wear with pride. At the same time, understanding your responsibilities in and around that and how you conduct yourself as a leader, they need to be at the forefront of your mind all the time. Every decision you make, you're constantly on show for people to look to you for guidance. So, look, it is a badge of honor, but it's a responsibility too, and you need to uphold it. So, leadership can come in many forms. I think a lot of our leaders, sometimes when we've got a young leader, they think that it's all about going around and looking for everything that's wrong and getting up people, and sometimes it's not about catching people out, it's about catching people in and looking for signs of players, I'll say in our case, of doing the right thing and highlighting that rather than just becoming this grumpy person because someone's told you you're a leader. There's different forms of leadership. Sure, part of the role of the leader is to highlight when things aren't right and they need to be fixed, especially around standards and values. But also, younger players need to, or younger students in your case, need to know that a leader is someone that they can approach and that they, there's a saying that you'll do anything for someone that cares about you. So as a leader, you need to understand that phrase. And so, to get the best out of someone, sometimes it's about showing that you care. I think, leadership's a responsibility. It's also really rewarding, but, understanding the effect that you have a leader on someone else is paramount to me.
Well said. So I think you've answered the next question, so we might move on to the one after.
Sure. So where does your team's leadership mainly come from, and how do you develop it?
Yeah, look, we have sort of two stages of development. We have, obviously, the more experienced you are, generally you've experienced everything that's going to happen in your sort of career here at the Knights. So you look at someone like Mitchell Pearce, who's 31, has experienced everything on field and off field. So he's in a good position to give advice. So look, developing it is handing over some responsibility to the leader and letting them have ownership of a certain area, because the moment you trust someone or give them a responsibility and support them in that, then generally they'll run with it and they'll own that area. So we developed that. We obviously work really hard at the guys' communication, so how they speak to the rest of the group. We train them up on that sort of stuff, but certainly giving them an area to own, that's how they'll flourish or will develop as a leader. And the one thing that I do say to our leaders straight away, and probably something that I got from Craig, was that a leader's number one job for us here is to play well on the weekend. That's their first job. So there's no point having your leaders that are really down on form and then go around and give everybody else advice. So their number one thing is get their job done on the weekend, and then they can worry about the other stuff during the week. So, leaders sometimes can be looking outward all the time and looking to fix everyone else. Sometimes it's about looking inward and fixing yourself first, and then you can become a leader to everybody else.
Yeah, awesome. Is leadership hard? And if so, what difficulties do you think leaders face?
Yeah, I certainly think leadership's hard. It's a challenge. Not everybody can be a leader, but certainly I think everybody should be, wanting to become leader. Look, the challenges are that it's not always easy. You don't always get to, you're not always sitting up the front of the bus. You need to make some tough calls sometimes. You have some uncomfortable conversations, especially for me if I'm dropping a player out of the team or we're letting a player go from our club, understanding that it's someone's life that you're sort of, playing around with. So it's not always easy, but certainly it can be rewarding. And I think everybody should be looking for ways that they can show signs of leadership, whether it be in the community or whether it be around the footy club or being at home. You should be, inspired to sort of better yourself. But again, it's not for everybody. It can be quite difficult at times with some tough conversations. It's not always fun.
Definitely. So who has inspired you to become the leader that you are today?
Certainly, Craig Bellamy was probably my main mentor. I'd been with him for a long time, but I think for me, I guess wanting to become a leader came through my want to do well at this career, and that came through. I'm really in touch with what my why is. So, what's my reason for coming to work at 4 a.m. in the morning? What's my reason to do 12-hour days? What's my reason to, be so dedicated to this? And for me, I don't share this with everybody, but my why is my wife and my parents. So I looked at, so if I'm tired or I don't feel like doing an extra hour of video at night or whatever, I tap back into what's my why. The reason why I do this is because I have a responsibility. My wife, how she experiences her one life, I get a say in that with how well I do my job. So that's my why. And then certainly the other part is my parents. I always, as a young man, and I never wanted my parents to grow into old age and be worried about their kids, whether they're going to be okay or whether they were going to be successful or not. So, as a leader, you'll go through tough periods, you'll go through lonely periods, but understanding what's your why am I going to do this extra hour of homework, or why am I going to give myself a free day to freshen up mentally? It's because you're in touch with your why. Your reason why you put yourself through uncomfortable moments is usually your why. And if your why is strong enough, you'll get through anything.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And also, do you have any advice on how we can be leaders in our local communities and in our families?
Certainly, I think if you sit back and think about how you can just impact on somebody else's day, you become, that's leadership right there. If you search for ways to make something better for someone else, that's true leadership to me. Taking it upon yourself, not just sitting back. Certainly, if you see something and you feel strongly about it, then having the strength to speak up about it, but also do something about it, to fix it or to change. I think, look, if everybody had that attitude about, doing something for someone else, we'd live in a pretty good place. Unfortunately, that's not where we're at the moment, but more young people like you coming through it'll make it a better place to live in if you can go and just do something for someone else.
Yeah, no, awesome. Who will the Knights play in this year's grand final?
I saw that question. It was a hard one there. Look, I don't really care. As long as we're in it, I'll play anyone. So, look, there's a number of teams, Roosters, Melbourne, they're up there, Penrith. I don't care who we play as long as we're in it.
Awesome.
So we've all faced many challenges this year. Is there any advice you can give us that may help us in dealing with and overcoming these challenges?
I think probably what I said before about your why. I think if you sit back and understand what it is that motivates you, anytime you face times of difficulty or uncomfortableness, you need to tap into your why. It's usually what will get you through. And as I said, if your why is strong enough, you feel passionately about this is why I want to get to this end result, then that'll push you through the tough times. And I think understanding as a leader, if you think about a big, strong tree in the park that everybody wants to sit under to get shade, well, no one will sit under that if it's swaying in the wind and is volatile. So, in times, the most difficult times as a leader is when you need to be the strongest, and because people will be looking to you for advice or to make them feel better to get through that crisis. Well, as a leader, you got to be pretty stoic in that. And again, your why will help you with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Once again, thank you for your time. You've given us a lot of wisdom, and I'm sure everyone will take something away from our chat this morning. We wish you and the Knights all the best for the rest of the season and into the future. Thanks, Adam.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me, and I wish you all the best of luck. But, you know, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. I'll leave it with them.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
See you guys.